Welcome to the SmartKeys podcast. Imagine running a global multi-billion-dollar business where like 97% of your customers never pay you a single dime.
Right, not a cent.
Yeah, exactly. They use your product every day, they take up server space, they even submit support tickets, and they never pull out their credit card.
It sounds like a terrible business plan when you say it like that.
It really does. But today we have a mission. We are unpacking a comprehensive guide by Felix Römer on the freemium business model, and we are treating it as an essential roadmap for you, the modern professional.
Absolutely, because whether you are, trying to understand the future of work, analyzing software growth, or just wondering why half the apps on your phone give you so much value for free, this deep dive is for you.
Yeah, it's a huge topic, so where do we start?
Well, it is a critical dynamic to understand right now because freemium is no longer just like a marketing gimmick or, a temporary pricing trip to drum up early adopters.
Right.
It is evolved into a dominant strategic engine that is literally powering the current business landscape. I mean, the core premise requires a total shift in how we think about revenue.
How so?
So you engineer a system where a microscopic fraction of paying customers effectively subsidizes a massive global free user base.
Okay, so I was actually trying to visualize how this functions in the real world, and a bakery analogy like giving out free bread samples, it just doesn't cut it.
The scale is completely wrong for that.
Exactly. It's more like, imagine a city building a massive, state-of-the-art 8-lane highway. You open it up to the public completely for free. Anyone can drive on it.
Nice.
And it immediately becomes the most popular route in the city. The traffic is insane. But here's the secret. The city isn't trying to make money off those general lanes.
Right. They have a different plan.
Yeah, they've built an ultra-fast, perfectly paved express lane right down the middle. And they make all of their profit by charging a premium toll to, say, the commercial delivery trucks and the wealthy commuters who absolutely cannot afford to be stuck in traffic.
That is a great way to look at it.
Right. So the free lanes justify the infrastructure, but the toll lane pays the bills.
That captures the structural reality perfectly, yeah. The free users are essentially the traffic that creates the ecosystem. But to understand why this works in the software world, without just bankrupting the company building the highway, we really have to look at the mechanics of the product design.
Like how they actually build the roads.
Exactly. How do the most successful companies engineer that free access? I mean, they have to drive massive adoption, right? But they also have to build in the friction that eventually forces a user into that express lane.
Right. You can't just make the free lanes too perfect.
No, you'd go out of business. It requires a meticulous balance of giving away just enough.
And according to Romer's guide, the fundamental rule for the anatomy of a perfect free tier is limiting without blocking.
Limiting without blocking.
Yes.
Yes.
Like you have to give enough access to show immediate value while intentionally reserving features that actually justify an upgrade. You can't block them from driving on the highway, but, you have to make sure they feel the traffic eventually.
Yeah, and when you look at the specific recognizable levers used by industry giants, the psychology behind those limits becomes incredibly transparent.
Oh, for sure.
Take Slack as a historical example. For a long time, their free tier had a 10,000 message history cap.
Oh, I remember that. It was so stressful when you got close to it.
Right. But initially, you could use the core product, chatting with your entire team in real time with zero friction. They didn't limit the number of users or the speed of the messages, but they understood how corporate habits form.
Yeah, because when a tool like that works, it doesn't just stay a chat app. It becomes a company's central nervous system.
Exactly the mechanism they're banking on. So you onboard your team, you start sharing files, making decisions in channels, and suddenly Slack is your institutional memory.
Yeah, and you don't realize how much you rely on being able to search for a decision made 3 months ago until you hit that 10,000 message limit and your archive starts disappearing.
It's brilliant. Slack designed the limit to trigger at the exact moment the tool became indispensable.
Zoom did something very similar, right, with their legendary 40-minute meeting cap on free accounts. The psychology of that cutoff is just, it's brilliant.
Well, it is entirely based on the emotional spike of the user.
Yeah.
I mean, 40 minutes is perfectly adequate for a quick stand-up or a basic check-in.
Sure, you can do a lot in 40 minutes.
Yeah, it allows millions of people to use the platform for casual needs. But 40 minutes is just short enough to be severely irritating for a serious deep dive strategy meeting or, a client pitch.
I can feel the anxiety just thinking about it. You're in the middle of closing a deal, the timer starts ticking down on the screen, and you have to scramble to send everyone a new link.
It's the worst.
It really is. The product creates its own urgency. Upgrading to a paid plan suddenly isn't a software purchase. It's a desperate move to save your professional reputation in front of a client.
That is the aha moment for heavy users. They aren't paying for video software. They're paying to remove professional embarrassment.
Wow. Yeah, that's so true.
And you see similar gating mechanisms in creation tools too, like Canva or Grammarly. They keep the core utility completely free. You can design a basic flyer or spell check an email indefinitely.
Right.
But they gate the premium templates, the brand kits or the advanced tone adjustment tools. They let you do the work, but they charge you for the polish that makes the work stand out.
But wait, hosting millions of free users, creating files, sending messages, and streaming video, that isn't cheap.
Not at all.
So if the free version is so genuinely good that millions of people adopt it, how do you avoid just giving away the store? Like, what is the actual mechanism that prevents a user from simply staying on the free tier forever and bleeding your servers dry?
Well, the defense against the permanent free rider lies in what we call scalability economics and the concept of natural upgrade triggers.
Okay, break that down for me.
Companies don't just cross their fingers and hope people feel generous enough to pay. They analyze usage data to find the exact point where a user transitions from a casual consumer to a reliant professional.
Ah, so it's data-driven.
Highly data-driven. The limits they design, whether it's storage caps, participant limits, or export resolutions, they are engineered to nudge users the moment they experience a value bottleneck. The bottleneck is the feature they need to scale their own success.
So the restriction hits them when they are trying to grow, not when they are just trying to figure out how the software works?
Precisely. The initial core use must be pristine. You want them to succeed wildly on the free tier. Because when designed correctly, a free user is actually an incredibly valuable asset, not just a cost center.
Because they bring in more people?
Yeah, free users provide organic, viral growth. They invite colleagues, they share links with external partners, and they generate massive amounts of behavioral data that helps the company refine the product.
But you still have to offset the immense infrastructure costs of hosting them.
You do. Which brings us to the hard economics of this model, the actual numbers behind keeping the lights on, because there are massive upsides to this strategy, but the downsides are equally real.
Let's talk about those trade-offs.
Well, the trade-offs dictate everything about how a freemium company operates. On the upside, you get that viral growth in data. But the most significant financial advantage is a drastically lower customer acquisition cost, or CAC.
Because marketing is usually super expensive, right?
Well, acquiring a customer through traditional paid channels like buying digital ads, attending trade shows, or employing massive outbound enterprise sales teams, it is exorbitantly expensive.
Right.
A freemium model bypasses a lot of that expense by lowering the friction to sign up to absolute zero. The product itself becomes the primary marketing engine.
But the downsides are heavy, and they are mostly operational. You have the burden of infrastructure, server costs, bandwidth, data storage for millions of people who aren't paying you a dime.
It adds up fast.
Yeah, and you have severe support costs because even free users forget their passwords and submit help tickets. There's fraud prevention, and there's also a serious brand risk.
Yeah, if your free tier is too generous and closely matches your premium one, the perceived value of your product erodes. People start asking, why would I ever pay for this?
So what does a successful balance actually look like on a spreadsheet? Because Römer's text highlights a fascinating data point from the Harvard Business Review.
Yes, the conversion rate.
Yeah, they note that a typical realistic free-to-paid conversion rate in a healthy freemium business hovers around just 2 to 5%.
That is the golden benchmark across the industry, just 2 to 5%.
It is wild when you look at the specific Dropbox example provided in the text. So Dropbox has roughly 700 million registered accounts globally.
It's a massive number.
But they only have about 17.77 million paying users. That works out to a conversion rate of about 2.5%. I have to just marvel at the math for a second because the idea that a business can be an absolute titan while 97.5% of its user base rides for free, it just seems impossible.
It sounds like it shouldn't work.
Right. How does a 2.5% conversion rate actually cover the server costs for 700 million people?
Well, it comes down to the disparity between consumer costs and enterprise revenue. See, storing files for a free user costs Dropbox fractions of a cent per month on modern cloud infrastructure.
Okay, so it's tiny.
Yeah, it's a negligible expense. But those 17.77 million paying users aren't just individuals paying $10 a month. Many of them represent massive enterprise accounts paying thousands or even millions of dollars annually for secure, unlimited team storage.
Ah, so it's the big whales subsidizing the minnows.
Exactly. The sheer scale at the top of the funnel allows a tiny percentage of high-value conversions to entirely subsidize the bottom.
But how does the software company actually push a free user across that divide? What Römer calls the penny gap. Because going from paying zero to paying literally anything, even 1 penny, is a massive psychological leap.
It's the hardest part of the business.
Right, so how do you convince a user to open their wallet without making them feel tricked or bait and switched?
Overcoming the penny gap requires a strategic shift in how the product anchors its value. The free tier establishes that the tool is useful. The upgrade messaging has to prove that paying removes friction or unlocks scale that directly impacts the user's bottom line.
So it's about return on investment for the user.
Right, but if we connect this to the bigger picture of enterprise software, closing that gap is often achieved through a mechanism called the land and expand strategy.
I've heard that phrase thrown around a lot in tech, land and expand, where a few employees get hooked on a free tool and it spreads like a virus through the company.
That's the one.
But how does a software company turn that grassroots popularity into a massive check from a chief information officer?
It completely inverts the traditional sales process. I mean, in the past, the sales rep would cold call a chief information officer and try to sell a massive top-down software package that the employees usually hated using.
Oh yeah, legacy software is the worst.
It is. But in the freemium model, you seed the organization from the bottom up. 5 designers at a Fortune 500 company start using a free collaborative design tool. They love the interface. They become internal champions for the product.
And then it spreads.
Yes. As their usage grows, they invite the marketing team. The marketing team invites the product managers.
So the tool becomes the de facto standard inside the company before the IT department even knows it exists.
And that is when the sales team strikes. When the product has thoroughly permeated the organization, the software company approaches the executive team.
Hey, look what your team is already using.
Exactly. But here is the critical part. They don't sell features to the enterprise. The enterprise doesn't care about the features. The employees already have those on the free tier.
So what do they sell?
What the software company sells to the IT department is control. They sell administrative dashboards, enhanced security protocols, compliance tracking, and consolidated billing.
Wow.
Yeah. That is the mechanism that turns a free consumer tool into a multi-million-dollar enterprise contract.
So the free tier is essentially a highly functional Trojan horse. It gets you inside the gates, makes everyone fall in love with it. And then the premium tier is just selling the management of that tool to the executives who need to oversee it.
That is the exact dynamic. But this heavy reliance on long-term user behavior and, waiting for a tool to spread organically, it raises an important question for any business.
Which is?
Is an indefinite, perpetual free plan always the right choice?
Which introduces a completely different strategy, the time-limited free trial.
Right.
Because the text makes a point of comparing freemium versus free trials, treating them as two entirely different conversion engines. People use the terms interchangeably, but they actually serve completely different purposes.
They are strategically very distinct. The perpetual freemium model, giving a stripped-down version indefinitely that's best for simple onboarding, rapid value demonstration, and network effect virality.
Like we saw with Slack.
Exactly. You use perpetual freemium when your product gets inherently better the more people use it, like a chat app or a collaborative document.
But the free trial model is different. That is handing over full, unrestricted product access, but only for a short, specific period of time, usually like 14 or 30 days.
Right.
And the guide emphasizes that for complex B2B tools, time-limited free trials often yield significantly higher conversion rates.
It does. But it requires contextualizing what a complex B2B tool actually is. If a company is evaluating a massive customer relationship management system, a CRM that tracks all of their global sales, client emails, and pipeline data.
A stripped-down perpetual free version doesn't help them at all.
No, not even a little.
Right, because if I'm testing a CRM, I need to know if it actually integrates with my custom email servers and my specific accounting software. A free tier with fake data and blocked integrations doesn't prove the return on investment. I need to test the real thing with my real data.
Exactly. A free trial compresses the decision-making process for high-intent prospects. They get to fully migrate a small team, see real client data flow into the system, and experience the full power of the platform.
It's a sprint to see if it works.
Yeah. But what's really fascinating in the text is a hybrid approach that is gaining traction, the reverse trial.
Oh, this concept is super interesting. So the reverse trial is where users sign up for a free account, but they immediately start with premium access.
Yes, everything is unlocked.
They get all the bells and whistles, the advanced analytics, the priority support, and then when the trial period ends, if they don't upgrade, they revert back to a highly limited free version.
That's the step.
Yeah. The analogy that immediately came to my mind was an airline. It's like an airline flying a passenger first class for the first hour of a long flight. The warm nuts, the champagne, the extra legroom.
Sounds lovely.
It is. And then at hour 2, a flight attendant taps you on the shoulder and abruptly marches you back to a middle seat in economy near the bathrooms if you don't hand over your credit card.
That is a brutal image.
Right. I have to question the psychology of that. Does this actually create high intent to buy, or does it just create deep resentment?
Well, it's a fantastic analogy because it highlights the psychological tightrope you are walking. If done poorly, yes, it feels incredibly punitive. It feels like something is being stolen from you.
Yeah, nobody likes losing features.
No, but when executed correctly, the mechanism of a reverse trial works because it highlights potential outcomes early. It all comes down to calibrating the timing of the trial.
Calibrating how?
You have to meticulously match the trial length to the user's time to value.
Meaning how long it actually takes them to achieve a meaningful win using the software.
Precisely that. You want the user to hit a major aha moment before the countdown timer reaches 0.
Oh, okay.
If they use your premium automation features to save 10 hours of manual data entry in week 1 and the trial ends in week 2, the upgrade doesn't feel like being marched back to economy. It feels like an investment in their own continued efficiency.
So they've already felt the relief of the premium tier.
Yes.
Yes.
The psychological friction of losing a tool that just saved them 10 hours is vastly greater than the financial friction of paying the subscription fee.
That makes a lot of sense. It shifts the narrative from a penalty to a logical business decision. You aren't taking away their toy. You are asking them to fund the machinery that is making them successful.
Exactly.
And understanding that specific psychology leads us directly into the actionable steps, the conversion playbook, because we want to treat this guide as a resource for you, the listener, to actually apply these concepts.
How do you intentionally turn curiosity into revenue?
You're right.
Well, it requires a highly proactive approach. You can't just build a great tool and hope the user figures it out. The article outlines 3 key tactics that move users from casual signups to paying customers.
Let's hear them.
The first tactic is bridging the gap from onboarding to activation. You can't just drop a new user into a blank dashboard and expect them to know what to do.
Right, staring at a blank project management board is just overwhelming.
It is. You need to engineer the onboarding. This means using personalized walkthroughs. For example, when a user signs up, the software immediately asks, are you a marketer or a software developer?
Customizing the experience from day one?
Yeah. Based on their answer, the tool preloads a customized template with role-specific tasks already populated. You guide them step by step to their first completed project. The goal is to dramatically shorten that time to value we just discussed. Give them a quick win immediately.
But once they are activated, right, and they are enjoying the free tier, how do you actually ask for the sale without being completely annoying?
That leads to the second tactic, contextual upsells. This is about placing upgrade prompts at clear, relevant milestone moments, rather than just blasting the user with generic marketing emails.
I think of it like the difference between a salesperson interrupting your dinner at home to sell you an umbrella versus a salesperson simply handing you an open umbrella the exact moment you step out into a rainstorm. One is infuriating, the other is a lifesaver.
That is a perfect visualization. A contextual upsell happens right when the user is trying to accomplish a task that requires a premium feature.
Give me an example.
Imagine a user trying to export a video they just spent 3 hours editing. They click the export button and they want to choose 4K resolution. That is the exact moment a small prompt appears saying, 4K exports are a premium feature. Upgrade now to download your high-res video.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
You nudge them exactly when the premium feature solves the immediate problem they're facing on screen. Timely nudges feel helpful, not pushy.
And the third tactic involves the back end, right? building feedback loops, and utilizing analytics. Because I imagine you don't always guess the right features to gate on the first try.
You rarely guess right on the first try. It requires constant iteration. You have to use short in-app surveys and deep behavioral data to figure out which features actually drive activation and which ones drive upgrades.
So you track everything they click?
Everything.
Yeah.
And if the data shows that a paid feature isn't actually convincing anyone to convert, you move it into the free tier to increase your top-of-funnel value.
Interesting.
Yeah. And conversely, if you notice a specific integration that highly engaged users rely on every single day, you might need to tighten the gate around it and move it to a higher paid tier.
It really transforms how you view software development. I mean, it stops being just about building tools and writing clean code. It becomes an exercise in managing human behavior.
It absolutely is.
You are essentially designing digital environments that gently guide people toward a specific action, using their own workflows as the map.
It is entirely behavioral economics applied to digital products. You are mapping upgrade triggers to meaningful professional benefits, and you are carefully measuring the data that predicts realistic conversion and sustainable growth.
Which brings us to a crucial conclusion for you to walk away with today. If there is a core takeaway for modern professionals here, it's that freemium is absolutely not a passive strategy of build it and they will come.
No, that's a myth.
Giving things away for free is easy. Building a scalable, profitable business around free access is incredibly hard. It requires meticulous tracking of activation windows, ruthlessly controlling your infrastructure costs, and continuously testing your messaging to make upgrading feel like the natural, inevitable next step in a user's success story.
It requires constantly balancing the heavy cost burden against the strategic value of user-based growth. And as we've explored, whether you use a perpetual free tier to capture viral network effects or a reverse trial to accelerate complex enterprise sales, the underlying principle is exactly the same.
Value must precede revenue.
Yes, you have to prove your worth before you can ask for their budget.
Value must precede revenue. I really love that distillation. And that leaves us with a final provocative thought based on this text, something for you to mull over as you go about your week.
What's that?
Well, if the future of work relies on software that is hyper-optimized to manage our behavior, offer upfront value, and naturally trigger purchases, how might we as professionals start applying these exact same freemium concepts in our own careers?
Oh, that's an interesting angle.
Right. Think about your networking strategy, your freelance services, or even your job interviews. How can you offer immediate limited value, like a free tier of your expertise, a quick win for a potential client, to definitively prove your worth while intentionally reserving your premium capabilities for when the contract is actually signed?
It's a completely different, highly strategic way to look at your own professional growth.
Exactly.
Approaching your own career trajectory with a personal land and expand strategy. Show them the capability, make yourself indispensable, and then negotiate the terms of your premium tier.
Give them the free sample of your work, but make sure they know they have to pay the toll to get in your express lane.
I love that.
Thank you so much for tuning in to the SmartKeys podcast. We really appreciate you joining us for this deep dive into the mechanics of modern business. If you found this breakdown helpful and want to keep sharpening your professional toolkit, please subscribe to the podcast so you never miss a deep dive.
And we highly encourage you to read Felix Römer's full article to explore all the intricate details, the math, and the case studies we discussed today.
You can find the link right down in the show notes. Until next time, keep optimizing.